welcome to the SLO City Together Podcast. Here on a dreary, rainy, gloomy Wednesday morning with Tatum Miller and Brent Bramer.
Here we go.
We're here.
How's it going, guys?
It's going great.
It's going good.
It's going awesome.
It is your all's task to carry the conversation.
Yeah.
All right.
Pull me up out of the gloom of today.
Yeah. I was kind of hoping that's what you were going to do.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Usually
Yeah.
come with
I'm
those.
feeling-
Yeah.
I'm
I
feeling
was
a
like,
little-
Who's gonna carry the weight of the energy on this podcast?
Yeah.
I think it's Tatum because Tatum is,
Yeah, he's eager. He's the eager
very
beaver.
He
That's
is.
me.
He's excited for this.
I love a podcast.
He's like, we gonna
man.
podcast today?
He was
love a
disappointed
podcast.
that we didn't do it last
Any
week.
reason to talk is awesome.
He was so sad last week. He was so sad when we were like, "Are we gonna podcast?" And you said no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he said
That was disappointing. I was looking forward to that day.
Yeah.
it ruined his week.
I don't know about my week. Maybe like the later half of that day.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah,
Why
they
didn't we
took a
do it
turn.
last week?
Because we ran out of time. We were going to do it on Thursday.
Time is a construct.
Yeah. And it is one that
It
I
is.
live under.
Under
Yeah.
constrained.
I live
Within.
within the construct of time.
Just like the rest of us.
Just like the rest of us.
Yeah.
That's right. So
Time is a construct. That isn't
Mhm.
like a question, is it? What is that? What does that even mean?
what do you mean?
I don't even know.
I don't know what that is.
Like time is not time is something that we have constructed as man.
We have
Like,
built it.
Have
I
we,
do
though?
think there yes
Have we?
I do
don't
think
think
there are
so,
rhythms
man.
and seasons
Oh,
that
but
God
think-
sets in place.
But think, did God say, "And it shall be 9 a.m."
No, he did not.
But he did
create
the sun
day
and the
and
moon.
night.
But
Yes.
day,
Yeah.
but day and night is different than minute, second, hour.
So we created clocks. We created clocks
we created
in a schedule
an efficiency.
that's based off of something that already existed, like
True.
days, and seasons.
Yeah.
Okay.
Days,
Yeah,
days
yeah.
and seasons. I'll give you.
Okay.
Yeah, I do think I created days and seasons, and even like what is a month? It's a cycle of the moon, right?
Yeah.
So
Is-
I do think he gave us those things.
I think we should operate on daylight and sundown.
And
You-
there's not
you
like
shall not-
Oh my gosh.
there's no like podcast at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, it's just like we're gonna do it in the day.
Okay,
Huh.
but there's no specification.
Yeah, so any time during the day.
But right now it's kind of dark. So
Yeah,
should we
it's hard
not
to
be
tell.
doing it?
Yeah, maybe every time
Should we
it's
be at
gloomy,
home?
we just
Sleep?
don't do anything. We just
Yeah.
sleep.
Mm-hmm.
That would be
Anyway,
a good
yeah.
time. That would be good.
Summers would be long and productive.
Oh, we would work
Summers
a lot.
would be
over the
Winters
great,
summer.
would be
dude.
hibernation and
Yeah.
fires.
Nothing would ever get done.
Nothing.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Huh.
Anyway,
Okay.
I don't know what we're talking about.
I don't either.
We're
but
tired. You're tired. We're all tired.
We're all
Yeah.
tired, but that's okay.
I do
Because-
feel
And we're
like
here,
the
though.
weather affects tiredness
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
more here than any point in my life because we
Mm.
have so many good days,
That's true.
so many 65, 70 and sunny.
Yeah.
When it's gloomy, you're like, oh,
You feel it.
I don't want to do anything. I just want to,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's true.
Do you agree?
Every week is rainy in Kentucky, pretty much.
every
week. It'll
Gray.
be some type of gray, rainy, cloudy
Yeah.
deal. You can go like 3 or 4 weeks without never seeing a cloud here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
My dad sent me a text. I sent him a picture of our backyard because it's a disaster.
I know.
And he said, oh, that's what the sun looks like.
no, for real.
I'm not kidding. It's kind of crazy.
They just got hit with
Yeah.
another snowstorm.
Another snowstorm.
Yeah.
We are being, we're getting all these alerts from the schools
Uh-huh.
that the
Hmm.
big rains are coming.
There's
Yeah.
rain.
Yeah.
They might close school tomorrow because
It's
it
ridiculous.
rains
The rain.
It's
an
so
inch.
crazy.
An inch of rain, which I get it. There might be flooded roads and
Yeah.
kids might get their socks wet as they walk in the
Exactly.
outdoor
Yeah, it is-
hallways
it
to
is
school.
outdoor.
Some might
A lot
forget
of
their
them.
rain jackets.
Yes.
Yeah.
It could be disasters.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll tell you this.
Okay.
Can I tell you this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, but Monday morning, I woke up and decided I'm gonna get really into plants, house plants. I
Okay.
have a few. I inherited Abby's house plants when she moved to Seattle because she didn't want
Mm.
to take them, and I have cared for those things.
Have you?
That's cool, dude.
Like my own child,
Okay.
Yeah.
and and I don't, but I like from a, not from an obligatory standpoint, but from a sense of like I'm taking care of these for
Mhm.
someone. But then I just woke up Monday morning and thought, I want my own
So
plant
you
you
went
get?
and got your
to
own
nurture.
plants.
I did.
What type
I
did you
got
get?
Is that why you left the office early?
I don't think the episode.
What day was that?
You left the office early.
I definitely did.
He did.
I did.
Yeah.
I was also in early.
Yeah, that's true.
But nobody sees that.
I got a Swiss cheese monstera.
Oh, the
I've-
old
You know what
cheesy
that's
Monstera.
Yeah,
Never
it
seen
has
that.
like the melted cheese coming
Yeah.
off of it.
Okay. Yeah.
Jenna would really like to
That's
see
not what
that.
it is. It's a Monstera, but it has like these
Holes in
cutouts,
it.
the holes in
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
Jenna
So-
has.
Is it just a
That's
stick?
a big one in our house.
Yeah, I got a little small guy, like about the size of
Yeah.
this
Oh,
centerpiece. So
and you're gonna grow it to a
I'm
monster.
gonna grow it. Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
grow it to
Okay.
be large and thriving.
Okay.
So I just wanted to share that with you.
Jenna ordered us a fiddle fig fertilizer that
Nice.
we got to our house last week
Nice.
because ours was like growing as it was growing new. It was also browning at the same time.
yeah.
And I was in distress. I had
You
no
didn't
idea
know
what was
what to
going
do.
on. So I texted her. She was like, "I'm sending this to the house." And me and Bailey got it, and we've been watering it, and now it's green. And it's working.
Wow.
So
all because of fertilizer.
just some fertilizer. Need
What
some nutrients.
spiritual reality does that tell you?
Fertilizer specifically,
Yeah.
or anything. Okay.
Mm. I'm not a plant. I mean, Jenna is a plant lady.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We have a lot of plants in our home,
Uh-huh.
everywhere,
Mhm.
and
Very-
she
very-
does a very good
very
job
pretty
caring
plants.
for them. I do not.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you guys are in on it.
Are you at
It's
all
more fun.
interested, or is
I-
it just like
no,
she
I-
does it, so I don't really?
No, I'm
about
interested.
it.
I just am not engaged.
Yeah.
I'm not engaged in the
Yeah.
caring, the spraying,
Yeah.
the fertilizing.
I like the watering, man. That's
Which-
cool.
The water.
You know, I just
Yeah.
like the product,
Yeah.
which
Uh-huh.
also has a spiritual.
Great oxygen in the house.
See.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
I'm still trying to connect fertilizer to spiritual
Spirituality.
application.
Yeah. Because if we get
Struggling a
Isaiah
little
in
bit.
here, he'll say that fertilizer's horrible. And so then it'll blow up the whole thing.
But
yeah.
some fertilizer is man-made. Some of
Yeah.
it is
Cow-made.
God-given. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Manure.
Yeah.
There you go.
Manure on a
Pesticides
Wednesday.
is one thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but herbicides is that a thing?
I don't know.
That sounds right.
Maybe.
Sounds
Putting
right.
oxygen and nutrients in the soil
Mhm.
is necessary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
This is what happened in the Dust Bowl in American
Yeah.
history. They
Uh.
didn't do crop rotation and bless the soil with nutrients,
Yeah.
and so then
was-
all their crops died.
there's no year of
and-
Jubilee.
Hot take. I
Yeah.
am convinced that we're headed for another one of those
Why?
because just we're not doing crop rotation.
You don't
and
think?
like, nah, we're
Who's
messing, we're
not?
messing our soil up.
Who's we?
The way that we in America farm plants.
I feel like we're pretty
Is-
smart right now.
We're
From a
getting there.
mass production, I don't
Yeah,
think
and
so.
like a mass production, giving farmers like insurance money just to keep growing on that same field, to keep tilling that soil. Like I learned a stat. It was like before settlers were like actually like really farming the Great Plains, there was like 14 feet of like ground soil
Mhm.
that was good. Now at a lot of places we're less than an inch.
Hmm.
And then once that's done, dude, it's like we can't do anything.
Hmm.
And it just has to heal itself. It takes a long time though.
Yeah.
That's what happened to Haiti.
Really?
Yeah.
Haiti was the richest colony in the Americas. Rice. What was their big crop too? It was mahogany. A lot of furniture back in that 1400s and everything.
Hmm.
Like they would cut, and so they started deforesting. And in some of the revolts, they would burn their fields. And so now it's just chalk.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't grow hardly anything anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought in American farming, there's a ton of wisdom there and a ton of knowledge there, to where we're not headed for that.
No, there is. There's the farmers are so smart, but they get like these
They get
money from the government to
Yeah.
keep growing this, and if they are like, you know what, I know this is destroying my field, this is not good, I'm gonna stop, then they stop getting money from that, and it's just like it makes them impossible. It makes it hard for them to live.
interesting. I didn't know you were so into farming.
I'm really not. I took like one course on like sustainable farming.
Okay.
And I was like, this is actually like really interesting.
Huh.
Well, our old
So.
friend Christian Gomez.
Oh.
I was with him a couple weeks ago, and he is a ag teacher at
Here's
high
a
school
picture
down
of
in
Christian
Temecula.
and Luke.
There it is.
I could put
That'll be
something
hard
on
to
it.
edit.
I'll put one up of us on Potato Chip Rock,
Oh.
Okay.
just outside of San Diego. But he was explaining how, there's this kind of there's a practice called regenerative farming, which
Mhm.
emphasizes what you're talking about, soil health as opposed to like crop efficiency.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
Mhm.
going back to efficiency.
Efficiency.
Yeah.
And it's not, I don't think it is currently widely practiced, because I think it is viewed as not the most, maybe not the easiest, the most efficient, the most financially
Yeah. It's hard to make
lucrative,
money
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I do know that that's like kind of the tension that farmers navigate is what you're talking about. This like regenerative, like, are we, taking care of the ground in such a way that it will be, productive over the course of its life, or are we focusing on like the efficiency of plant growth and the lucrative
guys? So many carryovers to our faith and
basically writing
Christianity.
sermons right now.
We are writing sermons on the depth of our soil. Yeah. Are you 14 feet deep? Are you an inch deep?
Because you keep going in the same spot.
You put nutrients into the ground, fertilizer into the ground to help your fiddle leaf fig grow, or are you just plowing through because you want to be efficient?
Yeah.
That is the American story, my friends.
That's it right there.
American Christianity. Mm-hmm. So how do we pivot?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How do you fertilize your soil?
Mm-hmm.
The soil of your soul.
There we go.
Into a depth of relationship with Jesus. Like, what's how have you found in this season of your life? And I think there are seasons of crop rotation. Where like this season I need silence and solitude. This season I need intense study. This season I need this community. You always need all of those things, but like you kind of weigh some of those. I found in my 41 years and about 25 years of following Jesus.
Okay.
There's been different seasons where I've like leaned into different things that have fertilized my heart, my soul, my soil. What about you?
Yeah.
Right now.
I would say right now in this season, and especially I think since me and Bailey got here, I've started and all this stuff. I do a lot of just like deep scripture dive, unpacking, looking at it almost from like what's the text saying behind the words on the page, almost like a lot during the day. And it helps me to, in the morning and at night, just to turn my brain off and just like hold a paper Bible for a second and be like, let me just like not analyze it. Like, let me not try to just like, what is he actually like, pick it apart, but just read it and be like, that's nice.
That's
just like to soak in it and just allow it to just go over me and then pray on it. But that's, it's like that switch, like if you're somebody that works with their mind all day, you kind of need to just like turn it off. That's kind of the way that I do it. Yeah. But
to say, I get that because I got a verse of the day, which I turned on yesterday. I don't really use the Bible app, but I was like, somebody asked if we had a SLO City Church page on the YouVersion app, which I'm like, is that possible? So I started exploring, and I'm like, I'm gonna turn on notifications.
Yeah.
And I just got a notification early this morning as I was up by myself making coffee, and it just said, "Bless those who curse you, pray for those who mistreat you." And I was like, I literally, the simplicity of just like meditating on that one verse that was given to me through an app was refreshing for me. Yeah. Instead of like, what's the Hebrew say here? Like, what's the, what's the Greek? What's all that stuff? Okay. Yeah. It's good, man. What about you, Lucas? Is your real name Lucas?
No.
I wish it was.
What is it?
It's
Luke.
Oh. About to be some big reveal here. My name is Bartholomew, but I go by Luke.
Robert? What's your real name?
It's what it is.
It's just Luke.
It's the thing people call me.
What's your middle name?
Aaron. Luke Aaron.
Holding up the
lions. Yeah. I would say the fertilizer.
Arms of Moses had to finish that. Holding up the arms of Aaron.
I assumed you did finish it. It just made sense. I would say, let me preface this. I am in a season of life where I have found it difficult to maintain spiritual rhythms, if I'm being honest. Okay. And I think, I'm not trying to give myself excuses, but I do think
we got to cut the tape here.
Yeah.
It's a season for one, I'm doing school. Yeah. So that's like a weeknight, And
what do you like in your studying
like Christian ministry? Yeah. So part like there is some, theological scriptural intake and application within that. But I wouldn't say that it's the most like spiritual practice of that. I find value in it, but so I would say I've found it difficult, and not just spiritually, but I think we've talked about like rhythms of exercise and all that kind of stuff. I feel like this has just been a bit of a difficult season to maintain some consistent healthy habits. Yeah. But I would say within that, the thing that I have found most nourishing is simply prayer, especially in the morning. I would say like prayer out loud specifically, of like getting kind of like what you're saying with having a physical Bible and something, like getting outside of my head a little bit, and actually having this like physical practice. Usually I'm standing up, I might be pacing back and forth in the room. I think this is part of why I got the plants thing, is even like caring for a plant, like we're talking about all these, agricultural, analogies within scripture and the life of faith. Like I do think there is a sense of like that even causes me, like Monday morning as I was pruning these plants and watering them, like I was thinking about like what is almost like, how am I interacting with God in this moment? Like what is God trying to speak to me through this kind of thing? So I think, like finding, for me, it's really, to simply put it, it's prayer, but like finding some of those like physical ways to engage deeper in that, I would say, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm trying to think, because I think you've made me think. I think in this season, and I'm just even thinking since January, because I think the holidays for us as a family, just kind of like everything kind of gets thrown up in the air, and then you kind of resettle. January was weird for us because we traveled a lot, we got sick, and we kind of rushed back into like kids sports and church stuff and all those things. I don't know. I think like right now I'm really enjoying sitting under others teaching. So like I loved the seminars on Monday nights. I'm listening to I'm going back and re-listening to some podcasts, and I don't really usually podcast for learning. I podcast for pleasure, like listening to a sport thing or a murder mystery or something like that, or something interesting. And so I've been listening again to the emotionally healthy spirituality, emotionally healthy podcast with Pete Scazzaro, listening to some of John Ortberg's stuff again. So that's been good for me, because I'm in a position a lot of bringing forward the thing or the teaching. And sometimes that can become, I've actually found writing a lot more, like it's coming a lot more naturally right now. I feel like I'm finding myself in the flow easier. And I think it's because I'm being poured into intentionally. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think that's been really good in this season of like when everything else is going on, like to make time, even in the car, if it's 5 minutes on the drive home or if it's on a run, to not listen to something stupid, but to listen to something purposeful, and not for the sake of reteaching it, but for the sake of just receiving it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so I don't know, because there have been times where I've done that and I'm like, I got to stop listening to this stuff. It's just like too much. Yeah. But this is not one of those seasons. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
I get that.
For sure.
And because when you start just listening to reteach, you probably should stop listening to that stuff. You know what I mean? You should find a different medium. So
well, I think there's like, seasons of what you kind of crave and what feeds your soul, which I guess is probably what we're talking about. But yes, I think for me, I feel like there are some seasons where I am like podcast heavy, and I'm kind of like informational, like formational centric, and there's other seasons where it's like I just need to listen to music, and that like feeds a different part of me in a different way, but it's still there's ways to do those purposefully and intentionally, like you're saying.
I just think it's important to ask yourself the question, like, how is my soul? Is it 14 feet deep right now, or am I floating with the dust bowl?
Exactly.
Seriously. And even taking like we're caring for these plants, I don't know, that's what immediately Jesus talked so much agriculturally, and they were such agricultural people tied to the land.
That's one thing that I wish that we as a society were better at, like just more connected to the land. I feel like we would understand scripture like in a deeper, more personal, more intimate way, if we just like kind of receive it the way that we do. Like I try to picture myself as a first century Palestinian who like lives off the land, and Jesus is talking to me about this man who is scattering seeds, and like, oh, like what would it be like for me to actually like go out and like scatter seeds, like for not just like to do it for fun, but it's like I have to eat of this, like this stuff has to grow and feed my family. I feel like I would receive it different And I feel like we would receive scripture different if we were more connected to like the land, or like even just took time, like grow some plants or spend time with stuff that's green,
Yep.
Yeah, man. I'm thinking about that.
I feel like everything. I don't know. I feel like I'm an old man, old grumpy curmudgeon saying this, but it's like, the older I get, the more I realize the world, the culture, the system is set up to distract you from depth. You know, and you can literally spend your entire day just being informed by all this, you know, like we were talking about as we were walking in, just about like, we all talked about how we've heard the word victimhood, and I'm annoyed with victims. And it's like, is that coming? Like, how is it so ironic that that's like a narrative that we're hearing from? Is that like something that's we're seeing something? Or is that like a cultural message that's something? Like, and I think like to back away from that distraction and to go back to the simplicity of put your hands in the earth. Yeah. Like, I don't know. So. Yeah.
I'm with you. How do you, this might be a bit of a left turn, but how do you like, you guys personally, how do you navigate staying connected with like world events, current cultural events, and finding that like
not being poisoned by them?
Not being poisoned, and also not being stuck in the informational loop, you know what I mean? Because I feel like a lot of times if I do completely disconnect, it is a sense of like I don't know what's going on, you know, and I don't know, and I think there's a part of that that's important to have a you know pulse of you know things happening around you. But how do you guys navigate that?
You want to start?
I think this is something that I have walked through a lot, and especially like people in my family walk through this a lot, like are so plugged into everything that's going on that creates like this sense of dread all the time. And because it feels like there's a responsibility to know everything that's going on, and I had to be like I used to walk in that a lot, but then man, like one thing I did was big. I just turned off my notifications on my phone. And I don't have the news app on my phone. Like I have the Apple one that I'll check like once a week just to kind of like get a glimpse. But I think there's that balance that have to walk and be like, okay, there's like important stuff that's happening that I need to know about. But if I'm just sitting here scrolling for 30, 45 minutes and all I see is negativity, I need to stop. Like I need to put it away, because it's not doing me any good to just be sitting in dread. Like, and I think, and I'm a big proponent about like knowing what's going on socially. Like it affects people. You should know what's happening. But there's also this moment where like you cross that line, and now you're just getting to the point where it's like, dude, my soul hurts. Like my heart hurts all the time. Like I'm always thinking about this. I don't think we should be in that place. Or now you're like your worldview is changing. You're seeing people differently, and it's fueled by everything that's on your phone. So. It's a hard line, because we're in that society where like everything is always getting our attention, and just like intentionally like, hey, I'm turning my notifications off for this, or
I appreciate
leave
that.
my phone on do not disturb for that. Like I don't need to know everything all the time.
You hear that, kids? Turn off your notifications.
Turn it off. And it's social
Stop
media
being
is a problem.
slave to your phone. That's good, man.
It is.
I think to stay informed is important. But to recognize that like each story you read is from a different angle, and with a different level of bias or different perspective, and so I know that like maybe my mind or heart has a preference, whether I want it to or not, towards a specific bias or towards a specific leaning. So I have learned to forcefully read different, like, or even read the headlines of the same thing from 3 or 4 different, which seems like you're overly informed, but I'm not reading all the articles, but just to go like, what's happening? And then to back up. And I think and then to back up and go like, I'm not just going to take this headline from Fox or this headline from CNN or this headline from MSNBC or whatever, or whatever, and just run with it. But to back up and to say like, okay, I don't know. So to be informed and then to weigh it against like the scriptures, honestly, like am I in the scriptures more than I'm in the news, than I'm in the because how I'm in the scriptures dictates even how I view the news and how I respond to the news. And that's what I want. I want like the Jesus ethic to respond, to dictate my response to what's happening socially. So I just have to constantly have this like this balance of like, and self-examination of going like, am I being formed by what I'm seeing on Instagram reels, or am I now reading endless stories about Kendrick Lamar and Drake's beef? And I'm like, and why am I,
that is important.
Hold on. Why am I caring about, you know what I mean?
That's funny.
I don't know if that's a helpful answer.
I think it's good.
Or if that was clear.
Yeah.
It's clear.
Yeah, it's clear.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
What about me?
Yeah.
He lives under a rock.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
Patrick Star. Yeah.
Literal potato chip rock.
Yeah. Potato chip rock.
That was a joke, Luke. That was mean.
No, it's okay. I kind of do live under a rock. I would say I'm not, honestly, I don't, I probably need to be more intentional about staying informed, because I feel like I don't know. I don't have a pulse of like stuff.
Yeah.
Isn't there a kind, I mean,
there is a beauty to it.
There is a beauty to some of that, because then it's like, I'm going to love my neighbor, and I'm going to like care for orphans and widows in distress. And okay, the government has changed and there's some crazy stuff going on, and there are people who are afraid, but like, you know what? We're talking to them. We know that we're engaged with people. Yeah. And as long as I'm engaged with people and engaged in my local community, and I'm fighting for what's right, I don't know.
That sounds like the social gospel worldview that I sit with, and I love it. It's like the thing of there can be crazy situations on either side, but what would Jesus do in this moment? Type of deal. Like, how would he love our neighbor? I remember it was like a scenario where it's like, if you have, I don't want to get this too political, but if it's like you have people that are crossing the border and they need water, are you going to not give them water because they're illegal immigrants and they shouldn't be here technically by our government standards? Or would you give them water? Or would you gosh, there was like another extreme, but there's like two extremes. What would you do in the middle? Would you just like would you leave water jugs out there for their kids and their family? Like, what would Jesus do? Would you help them regardless of what big government systems might say at the time, left or right? Because it can be bad on both sides. I think that social gospel just like focuses on people and focuses on like our community and says, how would Jesus love you? Like, I want to do that. Like, if you're hungry, like, we can feed you. You know, we can give you water.
And I think right now, like, in the current landscape, I just have this. I heard something at the Orchard Retreat from a pastor from Brooklyn, and it just stuck with me. It's like, two things can be true at the same time. Right? There can be massive amounts of corruption and mismanagement in the government that needs to be corrected. And you can love your neighbor and love your enemy and pray for those who and so like, and then, but what I'm seeing, I don't know if I should. So I saw this quote from a politician that was like, the Christian way is to first love your family, then love your,
I saw this.
Like, first love God, then love your family, then love your city, then love your country, and if there's, then we'll care for the rest of the world. And I'm like, that's not it. I don't read that in scripture. So like, when I see stuff like that, when it's like we're using a Christian, I don't know. That's when I'm like, okay, as a pastor and as a dad, I have to like at least say like, hey, this is not. Let's like. If we keep going down this road, this slippery slope becomes this. Let's just stay on Jesus. Let's be aware of everything that's going on, and let's leave water for who's thirsty.
Let's leave water for people.
I don't know if that's.
What
do you think, Luke?
Oh man, y'all throwing this on me now.
Come on, Luke. Actually, where's Jacob?
Oh man, I would say that's encouraging for I think the way that I kind of naturally live life of kind of being a little bit more misinformed of events, you know, or uninformed, not misinformed, uninformed.
You know,
but I guess I know
you're
through
just
other
not charged,
people. I'm
which
not
I
charged.
Appreciate.
So I think that's.
Do you agree with that or disagree?
It's easy to not be charged.
I can be charged.
I'm not saying you're not charged. I'm saying being uncharged is I think a good thing.
Right. I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
An unoffendable, courageous presence of who Jesus would be in our city is like, I mean, Jesus was offended by only the people who took scripture and religion and poisoned it and used it for their own power. Yeah. He was like, Rome's going to be Rome. Yeah. Like Caesar's going to be Caesar. Yeah. Like people are crucified on the streets. Okay. Love your neighbor. Pray for those. Walk an extra mile. Yeah. Like I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like in the reality, like Christianity and like the way of following Jesus has always been not like under government systems, but like speaking truth to power in a sense. Yeah. Like regardless of who's sitting on the throne or who's sitting in the Oval Office, like speaking truth to power. And also just like existing for people on the margins. I feel like Christianity in a modern and like government perspective gets really slippery when it starts to form with that like overarching like government view thing. Because it can go, because it's not just like, because at that point it gets slippery to the point where it's like, yes, the church is speaking into the government, like we're in the government, but then it starts to become like, the government also gets back into the church, and then it starts to get ugly. That's what happened in Germany. It was like the national church of.
It's happened so many different ways in places. It's the Crusaders as well.
When Christianity stopped existing on the margins, that's when it gets ugly. Right. But
yeah, and so how do you have like a Christian majority that has a marginal perspective, or a marginalized perspective that maintains a sense of like fight for the oppressed. Stand for what's true. Like that's where I'm saying like some people might hear this conversation and be like, oh, see, they're whatever branded one side or the other. But it's like, well, how can you empty out corruption and call out what's true in one sense, and also fight for those who can't care for themselves? Like the church always was doing that, and the government, like I think even the Black Plague and everything was like, everybody's got to get out of the city, and Christians are like, no, we're going to stay here, and we're going to care for the people that are sick, even if that means we get sick, and they're gonna, and so that countercultural way, like to call out the good things of government and the bad things of government, and to say, but our government is a kingdom of God kind of existence. And so that's always the balance I've tried to hold. And
that's good.
And then, we have people in our church who are like, hey, there's a lot of kids right now that are like, is our friends going to get, and there's just a lot of like narratives at play too that aren't true. Some might be true, but then there's like this perception that like, raids are going to happen in schools and kids are going to be pulled away from their I'm like, I don't think that's true, but I don't know, but like okay, how do we speak to our kids about this to where I don't know, there's like truth and grace and purpose and not anyway, I didn't expect to talk about all this.
Me either.
And I don't even know if I made any sense, but I'm just trying to say, like, what would Jesus do? We need those, let's reprint those bracelets. WWJD.
Yeah. I think that's good. That's good. I think that's good. We should do that.
Well, that's where we're going to leave it for today.
Okay. Thanks,
go find your bracelets. Put them back on. You probably have them somewhere.
We didn't even talk about race in the gospel.
I know.
Oh, man. I forgot about that.
That was so good.
Thanks, man.
Are those up on...
How much time we got?
Are those up on podcast?
Not on podcast. You can find them under the live tab of the SLO City Church YouTube.
Okay. Currently. The goal is we're gonna have a little bucket on the website where all of those are. I think Jordan's working on it
Jordan's
where he's gonna cut up some of the dead spaces.
Cool.
And maybe make those available even on our app and on Apple, Spotify,
wherever you get your podcasts.
So I thought it was really good, man.
Thanks, man.
And I think these conversations give people, because the church needs to be speaking into all these different things, and we have to be aware of it, but also keep a level, uncharged head about it. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. What was it? I just have this quote that's like sitting on the back of my brain, like, and I can't remember it. Somebody was talking about kind of like not an uncharged, it's not that word, but just like a posture about you. Maybe it's a verse. I'm blanking. It's okay. It's gloomy. It's kind of like a,
No.
You got it?
What?
To keep a level head in all circumstances. There's to be self-controlled and like, I don't know, like that presence in today's church and in today's culture and in today's political climate. Like that's what we're a level, calm, clear, focused. This
It stopped. Yeah.
okay.
Oh.
That's okay. This is good. I'll just put up the logo.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
It's
fine.
all good.
I don't know what I'm saying.
I'll get you.
Yeah.
I got distracted.
Yeah, it's okay.
Hmm.
Well, I don't really know how to end this, but it's been a good conversation.
Yeah.
Tatum, thanks for joining us today.
Tatum,
Thanks for
thanks.
having me, guys.
We'll have you back.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll have you back.
I'd love to be back.
And we'll talk with you again soon.
At a
You be like
at a
in
point in time
Like
to
after
be
this?
determined
Okay.
by our
Construct.
feelings,
Yep.
Yeah.
the
schedules.
weather,
The door's open or
schedule,
not. Yeah.
and how our plants are doing.
Cool.
That's exactly right. We'll see you.